Hello there.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, eh? Why, hello there.
I'm glad that registered. What's up, man?
All of Obi-Wan's best comebacks are really short. You did that yourself.
No. I mean, he doesn't have a lot. I mean, I guess he has a couple monologues, but especially in 4, 5, and 6. Well, 4 and 5. Spoiler alert.
For democracy. He does more as a ghost. After the Clone Wars, he just goes and does whatever on a cave. Who knows what kind of freaky stuff he got into.
In those movies, he does more as a ghost, but throughout the whole Wars in the Stars, he definitely does more as not a ghost.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
So, when Obi-Wan was alive, a galactic empire overthrew democracy in the entire galaxy.
Okay, well, it's not like you can put that on him. That's really unfair.
Failed to stop
That's really unfair.
If you watch Revenge of the Sith, it's him and Yoda against the whole world, and they, raspberries, nothing.
Well, it was almost like there was a whole conspiracy theory against him the whole time.
Then listen, you can make an excuse for him, or you can listen to my point.
Okay, what you got?
Then when Obi-Wan's a ghost, at their bleakest, the Empire's at its height. Not long after he becomes a ghost, what happens? Oh, boom, Death Star blows up. Boom, Empire overthrown. Boom. Everything goes great for everybody as soon as Obi-Wan's not physically around anymore and is just like a spirit.
Okay, so are you saying that he's the problem?
Yeah, I've said this from the start.
You think Obi-Wan Kenobi is the problem with the reason that all...
If Obi-Wan had not let Qui-Gon die, and
let him die.
Could have trained
Anakin,
it would have been different. I think they did a what if about this. I don't even think I have to opine. This might be canon at this point that Obi-Wan made several big screw ups.
Okay,
that led to everything.
Was he just involved in really bad situations?
He had to fight the first. Okay, he got stuck behind some stupid Target-style laser door from space. And that's why Qui-Gon gets killed, because he's stuck by, he didn't make it in, a fucking high...
Yeah,
he didn't make it through an intense game of red light, green light, and that's why Qui-Gon died. And he's supposed to be able to sense bullets and things before they get to him. How does that make sense?
But there was a whole third party involved that was responsible for Qui-Gon's death. Also, why can't Homie defend himself? Come on.
I'm just saying that if you watch it later, Obi-Wan defeats Darth Maul again to bring him down. And that just goes to show you that Qui-Gon didn't have to die. He did it better when he was old for some reason. I digress. But he makes up for it by training Luke. And then apparently when Luke and him stop hanging out, that's when Luke gets real weird and goes off to some planet and drinks milk for some reason.
So, I mean, he probably had a lot to do with the goodness that was instilled in Anakin and ended up prevailing at the end,
Maybe. I think the Clone Wars and other media do a good job showing you that, but after rewatching episodes 2 and 3 recently, they seem at best like begrudging colleagues most of the time until it falls apart. Until it falls apart, they're like, "You were my brother, Anakin." It's but the whole third movie, they're not even in the same place. They're not hanging out,
Yeah.
They see each other. They do quippy 2000s monologue. Where'd you get that one? Well, I got 1,000 of them, There's no real connection. So.
Oh, my gosh. All right.
Padme probably did more for that, honestly. Discrediting women is what you're doing, Sean.
I don't think that's true. Anyway.
Justice for Natalie Portman. All right, today we've got some Straight Up Moves talk. Is it open? Is it not? Who do you believe? Dave Chappelle might be coming back to what made him famous in the first place. Government's registered aliens.gov. Oh, F1 NFL coming up.
Welcome to Wit and Grit, where Ian and Sean break down sports betting, pop culture, or whatever's on their minds. The Wit and Grit Podcast.
Welcome back to Wit and Grit. I'm Ian Price. He's Sean Duiser.
Let's get into it. We got some quick ones before we get to the money stuff, yeah?
We used to always mispronounce Sean's name back in high school, and sometimes I just slip right into saying it the wrong way. But it's Sean Duiser. I've met him before at least once.
Maybe twice.
Virginia Cannabis. Let's start on a hot one. You get it?
I do.
Governor Spanberger here gutted the retail marijuana sales bill. Start date for legal stores pushed to July 2027. Criminal penalties for public use are back if her amendments go through. So Virginia has had decriminalized possession since 2021, but still not a single legal store you could actually walk into. Democrats are furious. Normal says every delay just drives people to the illicit market, which has been their kind of thing. Normal is the National Organization for Reforming Marijuana Laws. Okay.
So that's kind of weird. You can buy it but can't use it. Is that what I'm understanding?
No. There's nowhere to legally buy it. There's no retail store. It got legalized in 21.
Yeah.
Then we got a Republican governor who vetoed it for 4 straight years. And now the Democratic governor in her first term has put a bunch of amendments in place that basically would make it a class 4 misdemeanor if you're under 21 and you get caught with marijuana.
Okay.
Which the Dems are pushing back on. I mean, I don't know, underage possession of something like that probably should be a penalty. I'm not here to take a side. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like some gray area stuff like that, but she also wants to push opening the legal sales back to July 2027 to have time to set up a framework, which is a really funny argument given the fact that it's been in the works since 21.
Yeah, that's a very long time to figure something out. That should be pretty simple.
It's at this point at best over half a decade.
Yeah.
To get this passed. Like the 2021 Dems really failed.
Yeah.
They should have just put it through. They thought they were going to be in power forever. So they said, we're going to do this equitably and we're going to look at it session by session, basically slow lawmaker talk. And then surprise, you don't know the future. And Republicans won the next election enough to where nothing happened. Doesn't matter. And I'm not stumping for either party. They're both terrible, as I've just described. I think I've done an apt job letting you know I hate the Republicans and the Democrats.
How about Dave Chappelle? He told the AP he's considering bringing back Chappelle's show, walked away from a $50 million deal in 2005, said no for about 20 years. But now he says the comedy landscape and the digital distribution have shifted enough that he's open to it again. So there's no deal, no network, no timeline, just kind of the first maybe we've gotten on from him on this.
Read part of the quote. He said that if you'd even asked me a week ago, I wouldn't have even considered it. But I think there's also some legal complications with actually using Chappelle's show, the name that might be tied up with the old company. And I don't know if he would go back to work with them. So, it's going to be interesting if Dave Chappelle tries to come out with a sketch comedy show at his age and star in everything like he did before. He still does all right on SNL, but, it just doesn't – it feels like that kind of sketch comedy works really well with young actors. Maybe that's just who usually ends up in the genre, though, right?
Right, yeah. I think that's kind of what is trending right now, so to speak, in that industry. But he's kind of his name brings the star power that I think will work no matter where it goes.
Nice. Well, we got a new segment. We're going to talk about a little bit of price check kind of stuff. We're going to look at some money news at a real approachable rate because neither of us are financial advisors. First, the good news. Average tax refunds this season are up $346, coming in at $3,642. Tax day was earlier this week. That's an 11% jump from the same time last year. The Republican tax law that passed last summer is showing up in wallets now, which everyone who saw it knew this was going to happen. New deductions for overtime, tips, and seniors. A bigger deduction for state and local taxes. More than $100 billion in tax relief going out through the system this year. If your refund surprised you, that's the reason.
But there is a catch, right? Buried kind of in the same law.
Of course there is, right?
Yeah, right.
Why make it easy?
Yeah.
2 of them. If you don't itemize, meaning you take the standard deduction, you can now deduct up to $1,000 as a single filer or $2,000 married, filing jointly for cash donations to charity. So that's new and genuinely good, but if you do itemize, the law actually cuts the value of your charitable deductions, and it hits smaller givers hardest. Top bracket taxpayers also lose some of the benefit. I mean, the 529 education savings accounts that people like to get for their kids are also expanded. You can now use them for more K through 12 expenses and for professional licensing fees. So I guess that's pretty good news if you're starting a 529 education fund for your kid and they decide they want to be a cosmetologist or a welder, go into a trade. But great news, we can pay for the licensing. That includes like bar exams, CPA exams. So interesting, and that's worth knowing before year's end.
Yeah, and then there's what's happening on the job side too, because this all connects.
Right. I mean, there's a couple of big companies.
Yeah, we look at Amazon, Oracle, Block. They all cut massive portions of their workforces this week and got rewarded by investors for doing so. Block dropped 16% before the layoffs, reversed every bit of it the same day as those cuts were announced, and then the mass layoffs used to signal a company in trouble. So now they signal bold leadership. The C-suite has decided that large teams impede progress, and the markets agree with them.
The reason isn't primarily AI replacing workers outright, because I know that's exactly what you're thinking, the mass layoffs. Executives say it's more about the soaring cost of building the AI technology itself. Like that's forcing all the reallocation. So it's a structural shift in how corporate America values professional talent. So, I mean, companies are being financially rewarded for shrinking their workforces. What the heck? That's like a different world than 5 years ago. I mean, and it affects anyone working in a corporate environment right now. The stock can go up if you and your buddies are gone.
Right. But I mean, I think they'll learn quickly that that's not sustainable. It may have immediate short-term gains for the stockholders, but that's not something that I think can stand the test of time. Burnout's a real thing. Being overwhelmed is a real thing. So you can't just go saying, let's cut the workforce and expect everything to work out. It's not that simple.
Exactly. Okay, so something else we've been covering pretty closely lately, but I wanted to go ahead and get us a bed for it because we've had a couple of UFO and alien stories, and we've decided it feels like it's something that's heating up. We might make it a regular beat. The United States government, through CISA, the official federal cybersecurity agency, registered a website called aliens.gov. Not a parody, not a leak, an official .gov domain that currently exists and goes nowhere. So that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Thread 1, thread 2. So we're tying our threads together. Trump directed agencies in February to declassify and release government files on alien life and UAPs. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says his people are working on it. No timeline. It's okay. They started a war. The DOD's UAP task force says they're preparing to release never-before-seen footage. A Florida congresswoman sent a formal letter to the DOD demanding the release of 46 specific videos.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah.
The political environment around this right now is pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, J.D. Vance says he is obsessed with UFOs and thinks they might be demonic in origin. Which, that's a separate conversation.
I thought we changed to UAPs, the unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah, that's why I was saying UAPs in that one. But then
okay, yeah. All
JD
right.
said UFOs.
All right, checks out. What?
Oh, he said he's obsessed with them. Trump Jr. declared there's evidence of non-human intelligence engaging with our planet. A Tennessee congressman said a classified briefing he received would set the earth on fire. A major disclosure advocate said publicly this week, we've never been closer.
So why register a whole website if you're not going to put anything on it?
It's a good question. I mean, there's a bunch of different options. Classified military technology, so it could be like nothing extraterrestrial. Slow normalization, they're deliberately warning the public before a bigger announcement. Someone in the administration actually knows something real, and this is a legacy play. Pure distraction. So I don't know. It could be any of those.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when they're ever going to let us know if it is actually real. It's kind of crazy, right? Like, is it just going to take something being kind of discovered in public? Like, remember the whole Biscayne Bay, Miami Mall thing a few years ago? Like, it was a brief story, but a big story where like people said they saw like 10-foot figures at the mall, and there was a huge police presence, like huge police presence. But there's no videos of it like at all. Like it was chalked up to teenagers and fireworks and mistaking for a shooting going on, stuff like that, but not even videos of that. Like, so it just seems like, is this going to be something that they actually let us in on formally, or is it going to be discovered like by the public and go viral before anyone else gets to it?
It feels like stuff like this. I'm not saying it's above the presidency or anything like that, but it kind of feels like the entrenched military people who aren't elected and stick around and have been watching it the whole time are going to have a lot of things to say behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Maybe it's got to be a real changing of the guard.
I mean, there's former Navy pilots that I've heard interviews with that, the Tic Tac ship that you may or may not have heard about. Like there's a lot of pretty credible people saying some pretty, crazy things. So it is interesting, something to keep an eye on for sure. Very intriguing.
Man, well, let's get over to pop culture.
What we got? So let's see. We started last week talking about Diana Russini. We got a little bit of a follow-up there. Page 6 dropped that Russini and Vrabel photo. Both parties denied it. The Athletic backed her publicly. We said kind of talking about it was part of the machine, right? This week she resigned. Ian, you've been following this one closely. I know you're in this industry. So what happened here?
Her resignation letter. I have covered the NFL with professionalism and dedication throughout my career, and I stand behind every story I've ever published. I have no interest in submitting to a public inquiry that has already caused far more damage than I'm willing to accept. But it's more complicated. Ginsburg, the same executive editor who 1 week ago called the photos misleading and lacking essential context, put out a staff note saying, as additional information emerged, new questions were raised that became part of our investigation. And a review of her journalism continues even after the resignation. That is, the Athletic saying there is more to this than the photos.
And then you've got the Britt McHenry of it all.
McHenry posted a cryptic message on X that was widely read as celebrating Diana Russini's downfall.
Mm-hmm.
And there are rumors about a prior confrontation between them involving Sean McVay. So, I mean, I want to be careful because the machine we described last week, rumor compounding on rumor without verified facts. But the comparison worth making, in 2021, Adam Schefter sent an unpublished story draft to then Washington executive Bruce Allen and asked whether anything should be added, changed, or tweaked. He kept his job, no suspension. Whether a different standard is being applied to Russini is a legitimate question and kind of worth asking.
Yeah, this is an interesting angle that I've heard talked about. I think Jamel Hill was talking about it a little earlier this week, where it is a little bit of kind of a double standard here, right? Like this Schefter story is very real. He was definitely, collusion's not the right word, but you get what I'm saying. Like he was kind of giving some favoritism to somebody, and that's not really what the journalism industry is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about reporting the facts, regardless of anything else. Remove all emotion, remove anything else.
You're not supposed to be personally attached to these people.
Exactly. So, and I mean, he's still the most famous NFL reporter that there's ever been. Whereas this seems like a legitimate concern for Russini's long term career, which is sad to see because she's a great reporter. I love reading her work. I love listening to her interviews, stuff like that. But yeah, she's going through way more than I think a male in the same spot would go through.
I mean, do you know the Britt McHenry story?
Loosely, if you have some more details, I'm open to hearing more.
I mean, allegedly they got in a fight outside of a restaurant or something when it was discovered that they believe they both might be sleeping with the head coach of the Rams, Sean McVay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So whether that's true or not, I don't know. But clearly, by the way McHenry was posting, she either A, has a completely different axe to grind with Diana, B, something like that, or that happened, or C, something else in her life happened and she was just, putting up something cryptic to people in her circle and it got extrapolated in a way people couldn't foresee given how long. When's the last time you saw her do anything?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a hot issue right now, so it's an easy way to get clicks and follows and people mentioning your name.
People are just digging up anything they can on Diana Russini, who, by the way, is one of the only reporters I think I know at The Athletic who has spent so much time on Barstool things. Like almost all of the bad clips that are coming out are her on random Barstool things. So It's like,
yeah. Well, we'll keep following this one if there's further interesting developments, but let's move on. We've got Shkreli surrendering his Wu-Tang copies. Martin Shkreli, pharmaceutical executive, drug price hiker, convicted of securities fraud, bought the only copy of the unreleased Wu-Tang Clan album Once Upon a Time in Shaolin for $2 million in 2015. He was forced to sell it after the conviction. Federal judge this week ruled that before it was sold, he made unauthorized copies and must now forfeit them.
He bought the album, got convicted, had to sell the album, and somehow still found time to make illegal copies of it. The man is constitutionally incapable of not doing the thing he's not supposed to do.
Yeah. This is insane. I mean,
let us hear it.
Yeah, right? Exactly. I wonder how Wu-Tang feels about all this. Probably not great.
Did you have a juicy little bet you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I guess if anyone's listening to this like right away, because this game is in less than 3 hours. But
from when we're taping, yeah.
Yeah. From this moment, yeah. The Hornets play the Magic tonight in the play-in tournament, and I really like the Hornets in this one. The Magic have been playing like dog water lately. The Hornets have been playing pretty well. So I like the Hornets money line here. I also I like LaMelo over 23.5 points. He had some drama in the last game there, kind of all eyes on him situation, a chance to kind of spin that narrative from controversy to like, wow, this kid's really good at basketball. And then we've got Concanipple. He has not made a 3-pointer in the play-in tournament. He'd made 0 3-pointers in the first game. So I really like him to have kind of shaken that rust off. Rookie in a play-in tournament, that's kind of a tough spot. It's kind of a big spot.
But it's still the play-in tonight.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But I think he kind of got to shake that rust off. So I like him for 3 or more 3-pointers. He's averaged 3.3 a game this season. So I think we're safe there.
He's scored none. Can't you just put in like 2 3-pointers then? Why do you got that way? You're under his average.
Well, this is kind of juiced at plus 300 with the way I've got it set up here. So I like it. He's been hitting at least 3 a game. It was an off game in the play-in tournament. Like I said, kind of a big spot.
Did you do one of the books where it gave you 3+, or is it 3.5, or is it over 2?
No, it's 3+.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's with no boost to plus 300. Again, that's time of recording. So I'm putting 1 unit on it.
Playing tonight, but the NBA playoffs start tomorrow with round 1. Woo! Look how excited I am. This content is for entertainment purposes only. Sports betting involves financial risk. Only bet what you can afford to lose. If gambling is a problem for you or someone you know, the National Council on Problem Gambling Helpline is 1-800-522-4700. 1-800-GAMBLER, ncpgambling.org. All our plays are unit-based. Sean, what's 1 unit?
10% of your weekly budget.
Equals a percentage of your own weekly budget. That's money you've set aside that you could lose, that you're not going to be crying about and making everybody uncomfortable because they came to watch the game with you. Don't be that guy. Have fun at the game. Separate your when There's only 2 threes from Knipple, and you've got a minute and a half left, Sean. Just try to be zen, okay? Just try to be zen about it. So, probably not going to write these up. This might be YouTube only, but if I'm a liar, you can go check this out on my Substack, hammeredsharkproductions.com, right on the homepage there, or just on Substack, all in with Ian. Issue me. Usually we do F1 bets for write-ups, though. So Luka Doncic is out. Grade 2 left hamstring strain. Suffered April 2nd against OKC. He went to Madrid, Spain for specialized stem cell treatment with a sports doctor connected to Real Madrid. He's back in the States, but not expected to play in the first round. Austin Reeves is out with an oblique. Doctors say he has a better shot at returning during this series than Luka does. But he's out for now. JJ Redick on both, out indefinitely. So without them, the Lakers enter as the 4 seed with home court, but are 5.5 point underdogs in game 1. LeBron, at 41, is carrying the entire playmaking load against a Houston team that won 9 of its last 10 regular season games. Houston is the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the league and ranks top 7 in fewest free throws allowed, which naturalizes the Lakers' free throw rate strength. You with me, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to take away strength.
You see where it's going. LeBron can steal 1 game. He cannot carry a thin roster for 6 or 7 against Durant. I mean, Houston's elite depth. The series winner is unplayable. I mean, it's below minus 500. But under 5.5 games is our play. Rockets, Lakers, under 5.5 games, 1.5 units. I got it at minus 115.
Yeah, this feels safe. That's 2 of the Lakers' best players. You can't hope to compete without Luka and AR, even with LeBron. It's just not enough. You can't get there. Not in the playoffs. Not against the Rockets team that's been hot lately. No, I think this is a good play. I think this is probably Rockets in probably. I'm tempted to say 4, but I'll give the Lakers 1. So Rockets in 5.
Excellent. Yeah. So bingo, that would cash.
Yeah.
It's it's obviously vulnerable because everybody, when you're thinking about NBA playoffs, you're thinking, oh no, how late is this going to go? But the first round, when you're looking at the different rounds, first round is where you're going to have some quick series.
Yeah, for sure. Because these teams want some rest going into the more critical series as well. They can take care of business quick. Then let's just do it.
Play 2, Cavaliers versus Raptors. Over 5.5 games, 1.5 unit play at minus 110. So this is the cleanest value on our card. Cleveland is the 4 seed. Toronto is the 5. It's a coin flip series on paper, and the price reflects that. The Cavs are notoriously slow starters. They let bad teams hang around all season, and Toronto is not a bad team. The Raptors went 3-0 against Cleveland in the regular season. They know the scheme. They know how to attack Harden in pressure moments. Harden's playoff volatility is real, capable of an 8-turnover nightmare against a top 5 turnover forcing defense. So 1 bad Harden game, Toronto steals a road win. Suddenly you're looking at 6 games minimum. RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes posted 121 offensive rating together this season. So at minus 110, you're getting coin flip juice on what the data says should go long.
Yeah, I think this is a good one too. These are 2 teams that are pretty evenly matched, I think, both on paper and the way that you watch them play on the court. So I think this probably goes to 7. I don't know who I give the edge to. Probably Cleveland, barely. But I think it's going to be a fun series.
You might like one of my next bets. Not this one, but the last one. Nuggets, Timberwolves. Only 1 unit here, over 5.5 games. I am so sick of everybody telling me the Timberwolves are built to beat the Nuggets. They've been that way for years, but the Nuggets made changes this offseason. You got to hope that them being favored and Jokic leading in 2 statistical categories for the season. He led in everything but points, rebounds, and assists. Never been done, because it's like, how are they related?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, but even if they lose to the Wolves, because betting on the Nuggets right now for the series, there's no It's not a good price. So over 5.5 games, we're only doing a unit because that's at minus 150.
Okay.
I had some promo boost and things like that I could use for some of this to try to get a little bit of value back. But at minus 150, you're going to make some money. It's just not ideal. The lean is right. Jokic era. 8 of 11 Denver playoff series have gone 6 or 7 games. And these two have met in the postseason twice in 4 years. Every series has been physical and close. Minnesota has the talent to compete when locked in. Ant, Randall, McDaniels all coming in healthy. The Wolves have done the homework on Denver for years, so adjustments will force extra points. And the juice is the only reason this isn't a 1.5 unit bet, because it's minus 150. We don't want to lose that much.
Yeah, it's a rivalry that definitely, has some history there. I feel like these teams play in a playoff series every year at this point, but it's for good reason. I think they're both, pretty much in the same spot. I think Denver has the edge over them, but I can see this going to 6.
It's Ant's chance to kind of catapult himself back into superstardom.
Yeah.
Because last playoffs, when they went on a run, all of a sudden it's Ant-Man coming. Like, he needs more playoffs like that. At the same time, Jokic, people are arguing maybe he should have been MVP. SGA is probably going to get it. It's sad that that's how we're talking about it, but if the Nuggets don't make it out of the first round, they fired coaches for less.
Yep.
So here's our home run pick, the one you're going to love. Knicks versus Hawks over 6.5 games. That's right. We're calling a game 7, getting about plus 220 on that bad boy. You might be able to get it higher, honestly.
Wow. Okay.
So New York, Atlanta, the Knicks have played 6 straight playoff series lasting at least 6 games. So that's not a trend. They play close, grinded out basketball regardless of opponent quality. Atlanta's defensive surge since the All-Star break seems real. We'll see. Second in defensive rating in that stretch. Nickeil Alexander-Walker averaged 11 attempts per game against the Knicks this season. 5 made threes per game in those matchups. So, I mean, it just seems like the best play. The numbers are pointing that direction. You want something that's not going to be a regular straight-up bet. It's only 1 unit because you're calling a game 7, but at plus 220, come on, man.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a situation where you're counting on New York to kind of do New York things, drop a game or 2 here. But I think that's kind of a reliable thing to count on right now. So I think they do win the series, but they will probably let the Hawks, make it interesting.
This is on the watch list. The price may not be right, but if for some reason the first 2 games go 1-2, Celtics, 76ers under 5.5. I mean, everything hinges here on Joel Embiid. If Joel Embiid is confirmed out and his recovery window is unclear, the 76ers have to lean on Maxey, Paul George, and rookie Edgecombe under playoff lights, while Boston has their full championship core back with Tatum healthy. So if Embiid is confirmed out for games 1 through 3 before tip-off, this moves from watch list to a 1-unit play immediately. The problem is you're going to have to keep an eye on that yourself because the line will probably already be moved once Joel Embiid is confirmed out. So if you think Joel Embiid is not going to play in this series, go bet this now while you can. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, it's not already too late.
Right. Yeah. Lots of time-sensitive information here in the NBA segment, but we got you.
It keeps moving.
All right. How about some NFL draft storylines here?
Sounds good.
All right. First, though, we got some uniform reveals that dropped this week. Both Washington and LA. Completely different energy here. We got Washington kind of going back to their championship identity. We've got kind of the Super Bowl identity look, right? Super Bowl era. They wore these for all 3 titles in the 80s and 90s. It's now permanent. They've got that deep burgundy and gold, white jerseys, burgundy pants, that glossy helmet.
It's hard to see.
Yeah. Gold W logo. Alternate is called the Hellraiser, which is all black with a burgundy spear. The spears are called back to the late 60s. Josh Harris has kind of been building toward this since he bought the team in 23. So his first calls after the purchase were to Darryl Green and Art Monk. The uniform is the visual statement of everything they've kind of been building together.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it'll look good on the field too.
I think the arrow's a good look.
I agree. Yep. And then you've got the LA Rams going another direction, more of a refresh than a rebrand, but simplified LA monogram, the bolder Ram hat logo, new white pants, cleaner than what they had before. They removed that chest tag and the gradient numbers, so it's more of a tightening than a reinvention here. Both during draft week, though, so maximum NFL eyeballs on these.
Still blockbuster, still bright, still beautiful.
What's Denver doing this week?
George Payton basically told everyone it's unlikely it would cost quite a haul to get up there. Most of our draft, we'd have to trade. I would say it's unlikely, but we certainly could move up in the second. Broncos are at 62. They don't have a first-round pick. Jalen Waddle's the first-round pick.
That's right.
So they've narrowed the board to 6 players for that pick, reportedly. Staying put in the first round, staying put in the second round, not open to moving in the first round. So,
yeah, basically showing their hand there. It's something that it's pretty clear cut what they're doing here.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're basically saying we're not going to go up, right?
Yeah.
Or is this or are they trying to mislead us and they actually do want to jump in the first round and grab, like, you got a team you think you were one ankle away from the Super Bowl? Do you grab just like some really nice defensive piece, like an inside linebacker or something, or another corner in the late first round and just like trade the whole draft for it? It's not really George Payton's style. Yeah. I think personally he might get a better player at 62.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you don't trade, you don't lease the future away here.
Let's go to Charlotte. What did Panthers GM Dan Morgan say about wide receivers, Sean?
Yeah, so a direct quote from Bleacher Report Gridiron. I don't think there's a rule that says you can't draft a wide receiver 3 years in a row, which is exactly what you say when you're about to draft a wide receiver 3 years in a row, right? Given that Donovan Green from Virginia Tech has Bills and Chiefs interests, something we'll get into. That's a Charlotte area kid that we've been tracking. It's a live conversation here 6 days out.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting. If they draft a wide receiver 3 rounds in a row, what are they saying about Bryce Young?
I mean, maybe that's a signal of trust. Like, hey, let's get you as many weapons as we can.
Or what are they saying about Xavier Legette?
That might be more of a question.
We can all agree after a sort of all right rookie year, he didn't really do much last year. Tetairoa McMillan obviously is their number 1 now.
Yeah, T-Mac for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of those regional prospects we were covering last week, if any of you gridiron nerds are here with us, start with Donovan Green because the news broke this week. Virginia Tech wide receiver, established 2 weeks ago. He matched Kenyon Sadiq's vertical and beat his broad jump. Same knock as Sadiq, though, limited production. The news this week is that the Bills and the Chiefs both sent scouts to his private workout 6 days before the draft. 2 Super Bowl contender organizations are actively engaged on a day 3 receiver from Blacksburg, Virginia, who lost 2 full seasons to injury. I mean, is he the steal of the draft, or are people just trying to find a diamond in the rough and they're not going to find it?
I mean, I think if he's getting this much interest and buzz this time, like week of draft, basically, then it's probably something real. There's probably something there. So I'm going to be very curious to see who ends up getting Donovan Green and how his rookie, sophomore seasons end up looking.
I should have said, or there's no diamond in that rough.
No.
I should have lied. All right, rounds 5 through 7. That's an I think you should leave reference. I hope some of you got it. Rounds 5 through 7 is like where Green would probably go. So, I mean, everybody's ceiling is Brock Bowers. That guy was on fire. So, Kyron Drones, your turn.
Yeah, Drones, we talked about, related to Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick last year, Cam Ward. There's 6 NFL teams that reached out to Drones before the draft. He's probably ending up as an undrafted free agent who gets a camp invite, but physical tools are real, and that family tree doesn't lie, right? The dual threat quarterback has a legitimate arm. He just didn't put it all together consistently at Virginia Tech, so we find out next week if anyone's ready to bet on it.
Reed Williford, Charlotte.
Yeah, Williford kind of came up as a receiver as well. 702 yards, 9 touchdowns as a receiver in high school, converted to a linebacker in college, became the first player in Charlotte history to block multiple kicks in the same season, and owns the program's all-time record with 3 career block kicks. So he moves like a skill player because he was one. Day 3 with a legitimate 53-man roster path. The Charlotte people need to know his name.
And then, of course, that punter from Virginia Tech, a Fairfax kid, most likely to get drafted pretty high from the Virginia Tech team, if I had to guess, based on certain results. Washington Commanders brought him in for their local pro day. He told Draft Media, "I believe I have the highest upside of anyone in the class." That's a punter saying that. I respect that. I mean, top 20 punter in this draft. Frank Beamer built Virginia Tech on special teams, like we said last week, and we just have a funny feeling this guy from the special teams. I don't know. You call the punter the captain of those plays? Is he the?
Mm-hmm. I guess. Yeah. Why not?
He's definitely the most important. You got to kick it. Speaking of kick it, how about we kick it over to South Beach?
Yeah, F1. Miami just 2 weeks away. We're going to finally get some more racing here. A lot has happened during this break. Ian, Red Bull first, because it's a big story.
Is it? I'm just kidding. I don't know why I'm giving you a hard time. Red Bull announced an internal engineering reshuffle this week. The statement said strengthening technology leadership to boost focus on performance and innovation. Translation, they've lost a lot of people and needed to address it publicly. What actually changed, Pierre Wash says stays as technical director. Ben Waterhouse, former head of performance engineering, moves up to chief performance and design engineer. It's a lot of reshuffle. It's what you said. You know, we get into the weeds about it. At the end of the day, it's got to have something to do with keeping Max happy. We talked last week about how outside of his pappy, he's losing everyone else in his inner circle.
Yeah. No,
so they're reshuffling things to keep Max happy, right? It's not like they're trying to keep Isaac Hajar off the ledge.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think. Anything to keep Max, because, I mean, that's a driver that can do anything at any point. But yeah, the headline here, right, is that they promoted from within instead of signing anyone.
I mean, that does stand out. You're right.
Yeah.
Because how long the exit list is. Adrian Newey gone. Rob Marshall now at McLaren. Will Courtney now at McLaren. Jonathan Wheatley went to Audi. Helmut Marko gone. Christian Horner sacked mid-2025. Lemiasi announced for McLaren, and in response to all of that, they promoted internally. So, I mean, probably best. Don't fix it if it ain't broke. They're close.
Yeah. The Landy piece is really actually quite interesting.
I mean, yeah, Racing Bull's cars for years were consistently described as easy to drive, driver-friendly, low drama, even when they weren't fast. Verstappen's specific complaints about the RB22 have been about feel, cars that fight you, that behave unpredictably. If Landy brings any of that design philosophy into the senior cars development direction, it could matter more than the headline. I'm not sure. Red Bull's 6th in the constructors. Hasn't finished higher than 6th in any race this season. The technical advisory meetings during this break, April 9th, 16th, and a vote on 420, April 20th. So hardware locked into 2027. Whether any of it's enough for Verstappen to stay is a question that follows F1 to Miami. I mean, is he really considering retirement, or is that supposed to just keep us interested for a month while there's no races?
Could be. Could be posturing from him too, you know, trying to send us messages to like, hey, get things going right.
They pulling a WWE on us?
Yeah. How about Williams? Williams is the team that should have the most to gain from this break. Yeah, they came in overweight.
James Vowles confirmed before Australia that the engineering steps to fix the weight issue are already designed. The problem is the cost cap controls when they can actually build and install the parts. His exact words, I already have the engineering steps to not just bring it down, but actually be underweight by a good amount. So if this was a cost cap free world, I would execute it tomorrow, he said.
So the fix exists. They just have to wait for the right moment to deploy it.
Correct. I mean, they ran front wing angle tests during Albon's race in Japan. He was in and out of the pits specifically to gather aerodynamic data. So it's not like because they were competitive. Doing the work in real time, even mid-race. Sainz said before Japan, I expect we will do a big push over that month to come up with something for Miami that is a good step forward. I mean, what is he supposed to say? This car is going to suck? Like, I don't.
That'd be more entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, and an F1 driver compared to other sports is more likely to straight up just say that. Like, they're such divas that it's like you're trying to keep them happy. They're not, they don't, oh, did I make the pit guy mad? Like, they don't care.
All right. Then we've got some drivers that all went in very different directions here over the break, right?
Behrman, Borletto, and Albon were courtside at the Monte Carlo Masters semifinal, watching Sinner beats Svers. I don't think I said those right. Piastri joined them after to meet Sinner and also spoke with Alvarez. Man, I don't know anything about the Masters in Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
Behrman then went to, he went to meet a 3-time Tour de France winner. That name's even harder, dude.
Yeah.
When I wrote this up, I was like, okay, yeah, they met some people in tennis, and I put it over here for me to read in real time while we were doing this, and I was like, I should have.
Tadej Pogacar?
I'm gonna go with what you said.
Yeah.
All right, so Tadej Pogacar. I couldn't even remember. Lewis Hamilton was at Coachella. That we know a lot about.
That we do know. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry we haven't been to Monte Carlo, but sorry we don't travel.
We'll get there.
We'll get there one day. Coachella's, speaking of things that, I mean, honestly, they're both so expensive. I heard somebody talking about Coachella. They said it's like $3,000 now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's like if you don't do anything.
Yeah. Right.
It's
That's
like,
just to be there.
Right. That's insane.
That is insane. Yeah.
Money doesn't make sense.
What about Max Verstappen? What did he get into? Just doing Max things?
You're not going to observe my pun. Money doesn't make sense.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. What about Max? Fine. I'll answer your question. He raced in the Nürburgring Langstrecken Endurance Series in his own sports car team and is going back for qualifiers this weekend. He said someone else on the crew would have to do everything by himself if he didn't show up, which was his rationale for racing a 12.9-mile endurance circuit during his vacation. Lance Stroll entered a GT race at Paul Ricard and finished 48th, 15 laps down.
Oh, that's not great. That seems really, really bad.
I mean, Aston Martin has taught him wrong.
What about Liam Lawson?
Flew to New Zealand for a week to get a new passport. Thanks for asking. Why not? Take the time. We fill up pages pretty quickly. It's the second time I've needed to do this. Most relatable thing any F1 driver has said publicly. Piastri added that McLaren would fill the gap with marketing days that I would have done later in the year. I'm not joking, unfortunately, with that. So, like, just the amount of times they have a movie, like, I just got to go get a new passport book because I ran out of room.
That's crazy. Miami, big moment for Cadillac. First home race here.
We've been talking about him for a while.
Yeah, they're treating it as a big event, right?
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about it a while because there hasn't been a race in weeks.
Yeah.
There's not going to be one this month. Free 2-day fan experience at Jungle Plaza in Miami's Design District. May 2nd and 3rd is what they're giving away. Simulators, exclusive merchandise, local food vendors, live music, Jim Beam cocktails. Sergio Perez is making a personal appearance Saturday evening after qualifying. Fans can watch the race live on Apple TV from inside the event. And confirmed today, Colton Herta, their test driver, who's also competing in F2 this season, gets 4 free practice 1 sessions across 2026. So he'll get to practice, FP1. First one in Barcelona at the Spanish GP in June. He's 10th in the F2 championship after round 1. Cadillac building the pipeline while competing at the top level simultaneously.
How does Perez look going into Miami?
19th in Japan, 1.2 seconds off Behrman and Albon. 100% finishing record through 3 races. Perez has historically been elite at street circuits, but Baku in September is my circled date for their first realistic shot at points. Miami is about learning, building, and giving the home fans something to show up for.
Fair enough.
But at least September is not that far away. For a team that started in March.
True.
They got 3 races total.
Yeah.
Already on vacation. Got my ice over here like I'm Julian from Trailer Park Boys. Worth having context on, Saudi Arabia was one of the 2 canceled races this season that I've never stopped talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been in the news for other things concerning sports and money and pulling money out of Live Golf. And will Live Golf fold overnight because they took all of the money? Do you get what I'm saying?
I do.
Well, Aramco, majority Saudi government owned, is one of the sport's most significant global partners. Aramco, title sponsor of the Japanese GP this year, exclusive title partner for Aston Martin F1, PIF, the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund.
There you go.
I never have to say the whole thing. Holds a minority stake in Aston Martin's parent company, which explains, man, not good. I trashed Aston Martin just a minute ago, man. Just throw them right in the trash. I don't know. It's just basically the Jeddah race. Am I saying that right?
Jeddah?
No, is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know. You have to give that a Google. It's not going to happen. There'd be a
Right.
war. So it's not even going to happen. But I mean, it looks like there's no way you're getting Saudi Arabia out of Aston Martin. Not saying that people want to get them out, but like as they're looking at taking money and moving it around and like kind of like leaning with their money, it would be really hard to just fold Aston Martin.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. What about the ceasefire announcement? That directly affects the F1 calendar, right?
Yeah, but I haven't heard much about that. I mean, I got to look more into that. There's word that it might be on the 2027 calendar, but
Okay.
I'm not sure, like as soon as I'm not trying to sit on anything you guys don't know. I'm not trying to like hold information from you guys. I'm not trying to big time Adam Schefter you. Okay. I'm not waiting for my editor, but what I'm saying is anytime I hear because of the ceasefire, it's like every day of the ceasefire, someone's disputed if people are even stopped the firing.
Yeah.
And then every time somebody says something, somebody else says something else. It's like a war of misinformation. So
too much going on to keep up with.
well, it's not too much to keep up with. It's just that what do you believe?
Yeah.
Like literally today before we went on, the reason we didn't want to talk we weren't going to talk about oil to begin with. That's
Right.
a little bit too financial. We were just dipping a little bit into money, trying to tie our like betting audience into some of that. But I'm just saying that whenever anything comes to the ceasefire, it's like, okay, am I to believe this is even real?
Yeah.
Because like
right.
Trump will be like, it's over. And Iran will be like, they bombed a school. And like, they'll be like, the ceasefire is held for a week, but Israel never stopped bombing Lebanon. So is that a ceasefire?
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, Lebanon came to an agreement with a ceasefire like earlier today. So
Yeah.
like but the ceasefire is a week and a half in. Like, what am I supposed to believe here?
It doesn't
So
sound
that's
right,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like, I'll believe Bahrain and Saudi Arabia are back on the calendar when I see more about it from F1 specifically.
Right. Fair enough. We'll let you guys know when we do.
All right. So one thing I wanted to talk about we didn't get to, but it was back in the NBA segment. We'll just do it as a quick shout out here. Give me the list of teams you think realistically have a shot at winning the title this year.
Oh man,
4 or less. Realistic. I know you want the Hornets. So give me realistic. Just put it out there. Sean wants the Hornets to win.
I don't know. I haven't. This is a tough question. You're putting me on the spot, man. I guess the Thunder, Spurs, Celtics, and Nuggets.
Bingo. That's the exact 4.
Yeah.
Correct. Those are my 4 as well. Those are the only 4. And I might be doing some futures bets. So if I end up doing an NBA Substack article, it's because I had that to add into it.
Okay. Nice.
All right. Well, this has been the Wit and Grit podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you actually listen on the audio, or if you're one of the people everyone tells us is only on video, if you enjoy the podcast, please let us know how you listen. We're trying to curate this for you guys. And everything tells us what to do. Everybody's got an opinion. So we'd like to hear from the actual people listening.
That's right. All right, y'all. Enjoy the playoff games. Play in, play off, play on, all of it. We'll be here next week.
Play out. Peace out. Go Nugs. Go Nuggets.